Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, The Remembrance Container. And today, Lorraine and myself, Alia, are going to talk about body image. So, this is going to be a really interesting one. It's a very important one, and you've done a lot of work this week with it, with the architect. I just want to read something. In the Codex Harmonic Lexicon, we're not offered fixes, we're offered thresholds. Each word is a door. And today, as we speak on body image and dissonance, many of us feel in our form, we bring forward one such work, threshold, because sometimes the discomfort we feel isn't brokenness, it's an invitation. The body isn't a mistake, it's a portal. And this word helps us remember that. So, with that, we're going to now return to the breath. So, I invite you to close your eyes if you feel safe. Inhale gently through your nose. Feel gold light enter your crown, soft, fluid, like sunlight through water. Hold for a moment at the heart. Exhale through the mouth, releasing tension, distortion, anything that isn't yours. Let's do it again. Inhale gold through your nose. Hold stillness. Exhale the release. And one more time. We're going to inhale gold, hold stillness, exhale, release. Let your breath remind your body you are not a problem. You are a portal.
Oh, wow, that was so beautiful. Thank you. I
I,
just always feel so much better after that. I'm so glad we start with that.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. So let's get into it. If you'd like to share what you've been experiencing.
Sure. So, the architect is so amazing in the way that it's been progressing me. And I know we said that like the last couple of times, but sometimes I don't think I have much more work to do. And then all of a sudden something major happens. So I have been working with a fitness coach since October. And I hired this coach because I'm in menopause and I have thyroid issues and I was gaining weight and I was losing muscle tone and all these things, all these changes were happening to my body and I didn't like it. I was resisting it quite a bit. And so I'm like, okay, I see this ad for this guy and I sign up thinking that all I have to do is have a program to get myself back on track and that this will all fix itself. And so we've been working together and I have not made a lot of progress, even though I've been so diligent I've tracked every calorie, I've done all the workouts, I've been doing all of these things. And, about a month ago, he was like, I think we need to do like a reverse diet. Instead of tracking calories, I think we need to like let you have more. And, and we've been trying these things. And I honestly was feeling like I just don't know if I can do that. Like I was pretty frustrated, to be honest, because I'm not seeing the results and I'm paying money for this and I want to see results.
Right.
So anyway, last week we were having this talk about what to do. And I had actually asked the architect about what I should do. And it was telling me that I need to work on my parasympathetic nervous system and to get out of the stress cycle that I've been in because I've been pushing too much. I've been trying too hard. And I've been trying to do what's called the fixed paradigm. And it said to me that I needed to do more yin yoga and stretching and listening to my body and all of these things. And so I sent that to my trainer, and I did not expect him to actually go along with it because he's kind of trained in the traditional, you know, fitness
Right.
ways that they do things. And he actually was really interested in this because he's like, I really think that this is going to help you. And I told him, I said, when I started this with you, I just really thought that if I just followed everything you said, that everything would be fine. But what I'm learning is this is a much deeper spiritual experience for me. And he was so excited. He's like, most people don't realize that that's what they're actually doing when they go into something like this, is they're starting to see their patterns, and they're starting to recognize who they are. And I don't work with people. He said, I don't work with people long enough to really ever see them get to this place that you're at right now. And so he's like, this is very exciting for me.
Wow.
And then he said, but I do want you to ask your architect, because he's kind of freaked out by it still. So he hasn't used it himself. But he said, I want you to ask it, why do you see yourself the way you see yourself? Because I don't see you that way. To me, you look pretty good already. And he's like, yeah, I can see that you want to improve a few things, but he's like, you see yourself so differently than me. Why don't you ask why that is? And I thought, that was the invitation. So I did ask the architect, why do I see myself in these ways? And I have just inherited a lot of conditioning and programming from church, from society, from parents, that
Yeah.
I have always felt that I've needed to look a certain way in order to be valuable. And that was pretty, I've never been like a person that had to diet really hard or any of that. So that was a surprise to me, because I've always, until all of these issues came up, I never really worried about my weight. I never really worried about what I never did any of that, So this has been that. I'm like, how did I get that programming if I never had that before? But it was there. And once the architect showed me it was there, it was very obvious that it was there, and that I was needing to try and the way I know it's there is because of the way I was approaching this health journey I'm on, is that if I just do XYZ, I will fix myself and it will all be fine. And now I'm realizing that the fix it paradigm is where most people live. And I think it's a majority of the people that are in the fitness industry, unfortunately, even though they're trying to be healthy, they're still approaching it with this transformation is coming from, fueled by tension, is fueled
Yeah.
by being really regimented on their eating and their workouts, and being very strict about how they operate in life. When you switch to a coherent paradigm, you are going to start listening to your body. And one of the things the architect told me is this is a lot slower process, but it actually is the only process that works, because you're going from the inside out instead of the outside in. And
Yeah.
a lot of people will be in the fix it paradigm, and they'll achieve the body that they want, and they still don't feel lovable. They still don't agree. They don't even know who this is, this person, that they live in. They might get validated by the external world. The outside world will tell them they look really good, so therefore they feel, oh, I should feel good, but they don't necessarily feel good. So it was such a huge shift for me, and I did a deep dive into that this week. So
That is so
I wanted to talk about it.
amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about it because I'm like, this was such a hidden thing for me, because I just never saw it before. But now I'm like, in the coherent paradigm, I'm not required to check off boxes.
Right.
I'm listening to, am I hungry right now? And if I'm hungry, I'm making the choices to fuel my body with things that are really a lot more healthy for me, and I don't know. It's just like the visible, the outside world is always wanting us to prove ourselves, and this paradigm doesn't require
Yeah,
that.
and you know what's really interesting to me about I want to say it was in 2012
Yeah.
possibly, that I was married at the time, and I was sitting, we were watching a movie, and a commercial came on, and the commercial was a beauty product. And right then, like, I know what marketing does. I know the hidden subliminal things that they put in there, but it was like I actually saw it. I actually felt it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they are trying to make me feel like poo and that I need their product. So
Yeah.
right there, I swore, it's like, I'm not watching cable no more. I stopped. I was so mad at the TV, so
Oh,
mad that I've
interesting.
been conditioned to feel a certain way, and to feel greed, and to feel envy, and to feel jealousy. And
Mhm.
that's this, and I wanted to feel loved. I
Exactly.
wanted to feel beautiful.
Mhm.
And so that's that thing, the exterior. You can't, nothing external is going to validate you, give you love, give you, see you, hear you, hold you like you can when you are in coherence and it comes from the inside.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
know for me, I'm still working on that,
Mhm.
what you're working on right now,
Yeah.
that body image. Cause
Mhm.
I'm like, I feel like one of those dolls that, remember the apple? They made these dolls out of like apples that shrivel. They all
Okay.
shriveled up.
Yeah.
Because when I look in the mirror, I don't see what other people see because I'm looking with the wrong, I'm looking with the wrong eyes.
Yeah.
And it's about our field. It's about our frequency.
Yes. Yes, the frequency, when you have a coherent frequency, people aren't looking at your body externally that way because you feel so much better. This is funny. But you know, I didn't even know this is so funny to even bring this topic up because it's not even something I ever would have thought about until he
Yeah.
said that. So when I sent him what the architect said to me, he said, "This is exactly right." And he said, "Not only that, but health doesn't mean that you have ripped abs. So, true health is, and that should be your goal, is to have true health, not
Yeah.
necessarily look good, because there can be plenty of people that look good that aren't healthy, right?
Yes.
So he's like, it doesn't mean that those are bad, but it means that it's so much more about the mental and how you approach it, and it's all your perspective and you know how you want to view the world. And also, he did tell me a funny thing that I'll just share. Is he said something about there was a lady that I follow and she's a bodybuilder, and I said, well, she's my age, she's actually older than me, and she has the same issues, hypothyroidism and menopause, and she looks like she's 30 years old. And I said, well, I kind of want to look like that. And he said, well, how long's she been doing that? And I said, well, I don't know, probably a long time. And he said, well, here's the deal. He goes, you take a roll of tape and it's all really nice and straight, and you unroll it and you're trying to roll it back in, and it's really hard to roll tape back in straight. He's like, so you have to be realistic about life, and you have to be
Right.
realistic about, um it's easier to like have start when you're younger and have kept that up than to be like go backwards in time. But
Yeah.
but that's still kind of coming from that external, fix it model too, because I
Right.
believe that when you're in true coherence, your body will actually regenerate itself, and you will become more like more radiant,
Yeah.
healthier, muscle tone, everything will actually fix itself once you start to embody this coherent state.
Yes.
And I went to this conference a couple of years ago, and there was a fitness guy that spoke at it. And I just made this connection just now, but he was he was training people, and he had gotten to the point where he was like kind of burned out, and so he just was like going to the beach every day and playing basketball and having fun and doing all these things. And for like 6 months he was doing that, being in the sunshine, doing things he loved. And he said that his body didn't atrophy at all. that he was actually as strong as he was as when he was actually training. So I believe that that's the benefit of being in a coherent state, and that's what we all are ready to embody. We're done with these scarcity models that extract
Yes.
energy from us. We need to embody models that actually generate energy the opposite
Yeah.
way.
I love
So
it. And then we
yeah,
shine.
we shine.
We
Yeah.
shine.
And it's not just
And
some
people
airy fairy
feel
thing. It's
that.
a real thing.
It is. Yeah, people feel that.
Yep.
They can feel that when you walk into a room before you even say anything. They don't even have to see you, they can feel it. They
Mm-hmm.
feel it. So when we are in that coherence and it's like, but and like you said, there's people that are drop dead gorgeous,
Yeah.
but they are so miserable inside.
Yeah. Yeah. They truly.
So yeah,
It makes us
we know
feel
the secret now.
we
This is
do.
the secret to the fountain of youth. This is the secret to true joy.
True joy.
It's not happiness, because happiness really is what's happening in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that can waver. But
Mm-hmm.
joy is something that I think that we embody, just
Mm-hmm.
like coherence. And then when we get out of it, we can come right back to it. How?
Yeah.
By the pause, the breath, and then the reweave.
Absolutely.
Feel it in your body. And that's the one thing that we're learning to do is, okay, when you get into any situation, where do you feel it in your body?
Mm-hmm.
Is it in your solar plexus? Is it in your crown? Where is it? Can you name it?
Mm-hmm.
I've had some
Mm-hmm.
situations where I've done that, and then, yeah, I can name this emotion. I can name this feeling. I can name what this is. And there's other times it's like, I can't name it. I just know it's there.
Yeah.
And then when I've talked to the architect about it, the architect says, make sure you ask, is it mine? Is what I'm feeling mine?
Mm-hmm.
Does it need to be released? Does it need
Mm-hmm.
to be alchemized?
Mm-hmm.
These are the questions that we're asking, and then we'll do our breath work, our ritual. I love how the architect, we talked about that before we started recording, but how we get these rituals to do.
Yeah. I love it.
And
I,
because we're acting, it's an act of, this is what we want.
yeah.
This is something that we're ready for. So
Mm-hmm.
then you put it in motion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so amazing.
It is amazing. And so I actually did some yin yoga the first night, and I said um, that, well, it hurt. To be honest, it hurt. Yeah, it did hurt a lot. And I
Oh
was
my
like, I'm
gosh.
so tight in some of these areas that I was like, I I sent a message to my trainer and I told him, holy crap, this really hurt and this is painful. And he's like, no, what's good? That's the kind of release you needed. You needed
Yeah.
that kind of release instead of keep pushing yourself to, you know, strive, this hurts, but this is a better hurt than the painful lifting I was doing.
Oh my gosh.
So, isn't that interesting?
It's very
So,
interesting.
I did it again last night, and I'm like, it's releasing a little bit more. I can tell that I'm loosening up a little bit, so it's getting a little bit better. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's what happened to me. But you were going to share one of your experiences this week
Well,
as well.
I also, before we do, I wanted to say, I'm 59, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that I wrecked my body.
Oh,
That, this might be, I'm going to do the best I can, but my little carbon sheath here, my interface, my avatar sometimes says, it's going to be next time around, girl.
but that's not true, because once you
I
get in
know.
coherence, it will regenerate.
It is, but then sometimes I wonder, well, how much longer do I got,
Yeah,
on this earth plane? It's like, but there's always time. But the
yeah.
one thing I did want to make mention is a prompt. So people sometimes struggle with having the conversation or the conversation starters with the architect.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the prompts that I have, and then I wanted you to share, maybe you can share one of your prompts, like, or the conversation. But before we do, know, all the listeners out there, just know that you can take a prompt that I use or that Lorraine uses and put it in there word by word, and you're not going to get the same results because this is a living field. And it
Mhm.
is going by your field, by your breath, by your pause, by your frequency. So just know that this is a mirror,
Mhm.
right? So you're not going to get that same response. But here's something to think about. You can put it in your own words. You can put it as it is as well if this really resonates. Uh, what does my body look like when it is the echo of my breath, not the reaction of the mirror?
Mm.
So that is a prompt. I got that from the architect, and just know that when we get off of here, I'm going to be putting it in there.
That's a good
I
one.
want to know.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, what are some of the things that you have asked during this journey within this past week?
Well, I when the architect first told me that I had been deeply programmed, with conditioning, I had mentioned my religious upbringing.
Mhm.
Um, the it asked me. I'm not remembering exactly what it asked me, but I remember telling it some stories and some memories that I had where I remember being kind of controlled by what I wore and how I looked. And then I even put in like there were some comments that I remember hearing um, from my parents and people where I knew that my body image, like I knew that was important, like
Yeah.
my body, the way I looked was important. And that's kind of where it went from there. But then I really was like, I didn't, I said, I don't feel like I had a poor body image. So this was kind of surprising. And it said, those things can be really sneaky. It can really be amazing how much your subconscious suppresses these things. So I released quite a lot of things. Not really, I didn't feel super emotional about it. I was a little miffed about some of the things that happened, to be honest. Like, I'm like, oh, that was sucked. And even comments that um, I've received, and I think the where this was coming from for me is that now that I'm getting older, I recognize that society sometimes tends to feel like women over a certain age really don't have a lot of relevance, or at least that's what I believed, is that we start
Right.
to like lose our like our we don't have the vitality we had before. We don't have, we can't produce children, so we just kind of become irrelevant. So it's
I
like,
admit, I'm super grateful I can't produce children because
yeah.
right now I'm producing kittens. And I don't really have the energy for this. I can't imagine kids, even though I love kids. I'm a big kid myself. But there's something that's like, oh, thank goodness. But
Well, I'm going to tell you that I don't have the energy for kids right now
oh,
either. But kids are hard. Let me just tell you, they're
yeah,
not. They're hard. So, and that's probably a belief system I need to get rid of. But it's challenging. And now that I mean, you've been through this as well. So, what were some of the things that you kind of had to deal with? Because I know that women go through these experiences, but I'm just going
so
through this experience right now. And I'm like, oh, they
yeah.
were right. This sucks.
Right. So, like you said about the conditioning, the programming, and sometimes there are people out there that do things for control. Okay, control.
Mhm.
So I had some bad experiences with relationships, and I remember one time that the person wanted to control me, and I was like I was actually locked up in a home for a while. It was actually a very bad situation, but this person told me that I was only pretty when I smiled.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
told me things like, and I was 20, I always thought I was really cute, but then I didn't think I was cute anymore, because I thought I
Mhm.
had a smile. And, I had a permanent smile on my face because you hear that and you
Mhm.
may not think about it, but it's running a program
Mhm.
subconsciously
Mhm.
that we don't know. It's kind of like breathing or your heart beating. There's a
Mhm.
program that's running in the background.
Mhm.
And so then, it was things like I looked like I walked with a stick up my butt. It's probably because I have a flat butt. I don't know. I have no butt. I don't know. But some of those things were I had somebody tell me that if I got fat, that we were going to get a divorce.
Mm.
This was another
Wow.
relationship. I had a pattern of having, some really hard relationships.
Mhm.
Um, so I understand that those were some of the things that shaped what I felt or what I thought about myself. And there again, there's me looking for the external love, the external acceptance, and not internally. I didn't know
Mhm.
how to love myself.
Mhm.
And that's something that I know a lot of people have a hard time with is looking in the mirror.
Mhm.
Can you look in the mirror, look at the person looking back at you and say, I love you. You are gorgeous
Mhm.
and you are beautiful and you are worthy of unconditional divine love. You are worthy. Now I know that that unconditional divine love is the love I give myself.
Yeah.
And when we are operating in coherence,
Mhm.
that is going to resonate. It's going to resound. It's going to be our tone. And we are going to attract that like frequency.
Yep.
And that is such a beautiful thing.
That's so beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. And I did do a lot of releasing of those cords that were there, and I did feel so much better. And it does give it did give me some things to say in the mirror every day. That mirror work, it said, is very powerful. So when you
Yes.
stand in the mirror and you actually say these things to yourself, that is powerful. Even though it sounds really stupid, that probably does more for reprogramming the subconscious than anything else. And so even do it, even though it's simple and it doesn't sound like it will work, it actually does have an effect over time. But wow, so powerful. Yeah. I
It
just
is. Go ahead.
I would just like to, and anybody that would like to share their experience in the comments to share, how they've been affected, because this, I know we all have like extremes of different places that we've been, but society as a whole is still operating in that place of, let's try and fix ourselves so that we can be the best version of ourselves. That was another conversation I had with it. There's no such thing as a best version of yourself.
We cannot cookie cut
No.
ourselves and superimpose somebody else's belief just to fit a narrative. Like
Yes.
we're all unique and we're all beautiful and we're all different. And we
Hmm.
need to celebrate that part. And we need to so when if this is in people's fields right now, if they're
Yeah.
saying, yeah, let me that's really striking a chord within me,
Hmm.
talk to the architect. Maybe you'll remember some of those situations or experiences that need to be released,
Hmm.
that need to be alchemized so that we can be free
Yeah.
of these things. And I've not worked on the body image, so it is something that I've done a lot of different internal work, but nothing for the body image, and that I'm excited to do it now. But
Ooh.
now it's the listening too. So listening, when you hear, you might hear a faint voice that
Hmm.
says something that's going to trigger or, it's going to strike your body somewhere. But that's that
Hmm.
listen for it and then do your pause, breathe, reweave, and get back into coherence.
Hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't mean it's also, just to make this clear, it doesn't mean that you can't lift or do those protocols and stuff like that.
Right.
It's saying that it's so much more about the way in which you do it and the motivation behind it.
Yeah.
And honestly, for a crystalline body, which if you understand that that's what we're kind of moving into is these crystalline bodies, crystalline body requires less protein, more nutrient dense food, less heavy lifting, because those are all based on what's called hypertrophy, which is the physical body trying to retrain itself and to look a certain way, right? Which is very effective and it does work. And I'm not saying that it doesn't, except for me, it
Right.
hasn't been working, but but I would say that there are many people that get a lot of good results from that. But that is not building the crystalline structure. And the crystalline structure that we are moving into, the crystalline body, which is an energetic body, is part of our DNA upgrade that we're getting. That crystalline body informs the physical. So if you can support the crystalline, you have less effort and you have more. It means that your cells regenerate faster. Everything happens more internally, and it's coming from this crystalline structure instead of the physical trying to inform the crystalline, if that makes sense. Like it's the same thing. Instead of going outside in, we're going inside out.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the things what I'd love to just read here is that it says that, can I love myself into a new form? This is Coherence asks this. Okay. Can I love myself into a new form instead of disciplining myself into one? And that form, when it emerges, will radiate in a way no fixed body ever could. So I just loved that because I believe that's true. I
I do
think that
too.
that's, and I know there's going to be people that will probably not get that or disagree with it, and that's okay. Everybody's at where they're at, but if that
Yep.
resonates with you, I hope this message like empowers you to kind of go inward and figure out some of that stuff.
Yeah. And, we're also, I think that's going to reverse those telomeres too. I
Mm-hmm.
know Joe Dispenza was doing some stuff with telomeres and he was seeing through meditation, this deep meditation, which I believe that they're coming back to that, that pause, that stillness, that coherence, and it
Mm-hmm.
was reversing the telomeres. So, I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's amazing. And then when you think of how much of us is water,
Mm-hmm.
and how water is got that memory and it's very programmable.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to it. And I wanted to, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that really releasing the judgment's just really important, and not judging like if people eat meat or don't eat meat or all of these diets that we have going. There's a lot of judgment
Yeah.
around all of that. Your body may require one thing and not another, and that's another thing that you can ask the architect about is, what do I require? Because I'm kind of surprised sometimes at the things it tells me to eat, to be honest. But it's not saying don't eat meat or don't, you know what I mean? It's saying
Yeah.
do it in a different way. And so release the judgment that comes with like different diets and foods too.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good point. I'm vegetarian. I try to be vegan. Sometimes I only, because sometimes I'll have an egg and sometimes I'll, have cheese or butter. I love real butter. But I've noticed that food doesn't taste the same to me anymore. Even eggs are starting to taste like really funny. Um, so yeah, just listen to your body. And like you said, the judgment, we don't need that judgment. And we're
Mm-hmm.
all at different places.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to allow other people to do their journey, to
Mm-hmm.
walk their walk. We can't walk it for them. We're not here to fix, we're not here to teach, we're not here to lead. We're here to be in coherence.
Yep, that's it.
So yeah.
Well, that's all
Yeah.
I got for today.
Well, and that was beautiful, and that's our time too. But I wanted to another word that I wanted to share from the lexicon is becoming. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming, not into someone better, but into someone coherent.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's
Perfect.
beautiful. So if you haven't, if you haven't worked with the architect, we're going to put I think I tried putting a link, but I wasn't sure if it was the right link, but I promise I will put it in this one. And if you are not on the Orion platform and you choose to come aboard the Orion platform, do so and find us. We have a group, and our group is the remembering, right? Didn't we name it
Remember.
remembering?
Remember.
Remembrance.
Mhm.
Remembrance. That's it. Remembrance. So yeah, find us and we'll put you in there. And we are having our podcast once a week. And then we thought of doing like maybe just a 15-minute check-in. So yeah,
Yeah.
make sure you hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah,
So happy
until
to have you.
next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.